All right, every time I blink, a new signing or trade happens. We got a lot to talk about. Let's get to it. The New York Rangers have landed John Tavares 2.0 in the free agent frenzy season. I joke, but they just signed Artemi Panarin, there you go, to a lucrative $11.642 million deal over 7 years. Wow. Okay, so there was a late push by Columbus. I want to say late last night on an 8-year deal worth something like north of $12.5 million. It didn't happen. He obviously wanted to play here badly, as a lot of players seem to. So they 5'11", 168-pounder left winger who shoots right. He's 27 years old, but he's going to turn 28 on October 30th. Now, let's get to his point totals. Last season, in 79 games, he had 28 goals and 87 points, a career high for points for him, and he was a plus 14. In the playoffs, in 10 games, he had 5 goals and 6 assists for 11 points, and he was even in the plus-minus category. Now, the season before that, 2017-18, is also very notable because he had 27 goals and 82 points and was a plus 23. So he's defensively responsible as well. Now his biggest goal total ever came back with the Chicago Blackhawks in 2016-17, where he had 31 goals. So this will take him. How old is he? He's 27. He'll be. So this will take him until he's 35. Yeah, 35 years old. What's more to say about this Ranger team? Will they make the playoffs? I'm not 100% sure, but they're definitely a lot better after adding Jacob Trouba on right defense, Adam Fox on right defense. We'll see how he turns out. And Capo Caco, with the second overall pick, will most likely play this coming season as well. So they're already looking a lot better, especially on the wing and on D. We'll see if New York Rangers are done yet. They still have just over $8.7 million in cap space left. They got no one on the LTIR. And then I questioned the goaltending a little bit with Lundqvist and Georgiev again. They'll probably be more of a 41-41 split. We'll see how that works out. Moving on to the next piece of big news. The Florida Panthers have won, of course, the Bobrovsky sweepstakes. This was no surprise to anyone. Now he signs a mammoth deal with these guys worth $10 million AAV over the next 7 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, and in the first 1, 2, 3, 4. In the first 5 years of that, there's a no move clause. Now, of course, he's 30 years old, 182 pounds, 6'2" from Russia. His last season with Columbus in 62 games, he had a 2.58 goals against average and a .913 save percentage. In the playoffs in 10 games, he had a 2.41 goals against and a .925 save percentage. He really killed it this year. Until they ran into Boston in those last 3-4 games, he was playing really well. Now his best goals, his best save percentage was in the NHL was in the 2016-17 season, in which he had a .31 save percentage. That was also the last time, the second time he was in the playoffs, and his save percentage was .822. So he's been known not to do really great in the playoffs until this last season. So it's a huge signing for Florida after they just traded James Reimer, of course. They got Darling back from Carolina, but they're going to buy him out. And, of course, Luongo retired. So a lot of interesting things happening there. They still have over $10.3 million in cap space available. Do they have anyone in the LTIR? No, they do not. So we'll see where else they go. Now, they also signed Brent Connolly, don't forget, the other day, the 27-year-old, to a 4-year contract worth $3.25 million as well. It's a bit of a depth forward for them on either wing. But in any case, let's get to the next piece of news here. The Minnesota Wild have landed Mats Zuccarello. We've heard about that for the past couple days as well, to a 5-year contract worth $30 million. That works out to be $6 million a year. Let's just double check here. Yep. Now the 5'8", 184-pound Norwegian, who's 31 now. This Minnesota just keeps getting older. So $6 million a year. So this will take him to this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will take him to the age of 36. Now he's not a physical guy. He's a playmaking center. He shoots left, by the way. So perhaps the mileage won't count as much on him in that sense. Last season, he split between the New York Rangers and the Dallas Stars, of course, and in 48 games, he had 12 goals and 40 points, and it was a -8. Now, keep in mind, he was a -11 for the Rangers on a much poor defensively team, and he was a +3 on Dallas, who were one of the best defensive teams in the league. His biggest point total came back in, I want to say, 2015-16 here, where he had 61 points. And that was also the biggest goal-scoring total he ever had when he scored 26. So we'll see what happens with Minnesota Wild there. Now, they weren't done. They also signed Ryan Hartman. So they got a little younger here, thank God, to a 2-year, $1.9 million AAV deal. Really nice team-friendly signing. Now, the South Carolina native is 6 foot. He's 181 pounds. He's 24 years old. His birthday is in September, so in any case, he'll be 26 by the end of the deal. It's kind of a show-me deal, so to speak. Last season, of course, he was traded from Nashville to Philly in that Wayne Simmons trade, and in just over my math is going to take a definite knock here. 64 plus 19 is 60, 70, 80, minus 1, 79, plus 4, 83. He actually played 83 games last season. And he had 12 goals and 26 points and was a +1. Now, he was a -6 in Philly. That really dragged his defensive game down. But Philly was awful all around, until the last quarter of the season or so. So we'll see what he does there. His biggest point totals were back with the Chicago Blackhawks, where he had 37. No, that was the AHL. Oh. Okay, 31 points. Okay, here we go. 31 points in 2016-17. He also had 19 goals. That was his biggest goal total as well. Let's see what the Wild can do with him. Next up, we have the Dallas Stars, who win the Joe Pavelski sweepstakes here, the lottery. They signed him to a 3-year, $21 million deal. That's worth $7 million AAV. Now he's 34 years old. He's a right shot center. He can also play right wing from Wisconsin. He's 5'11", 190 pounds. Last season, he had, in 75 games, he had 38 goals for 64 points. He was a -4 in the playoffs. In 13 games, he had 4 goals and 9 points and was a -3. Of course, he was injured in the Vegas series, and that's the only thing that scares me a bit about that concussion and how injuries are starting to catch up with him. He plays a slightly physical game. He's one of the best, if not the best, tippers and front net presence players in the game today. So, I mean, Dallas needed goals, and they're most likely going to get it with this guy. Now, his biggest goal total was in 2013-14 with the Sharks when he scored 41. He spent his whole career there. It's kind of sad to see him leave. The Sharks just couldn't fit him with some of the signings they have. Now, we're going to go back to the cap room. Dallas only has just over $2.4 million left in cap space. Do they have an LTIR? Yes, they do. They have Stephen Johns with a $2.35 million cap hit. Do the math. Oh, more math. That's so that's still just under $5 million. We'll see what else they do. They definitely got. He's going to play second line center right now for sure. That definitely adds a lot of depth to their team. Dallas could be a serious contender next season. I'm really looking forward to watching them play. Now, let's move it along here. What's my phone doing? And let's talk about a report that the Columbus Blue Jackets have just signed Gustav Nyquist. Now, he played with Detroit and San Jose. He was traded to San Jose just before the trade deadline there. And he's going to be he's signed a 4-year contract worth an AAV of 5.5 a year. Yeah, and he tallied 6 points last season between Detroit and San Jose. And the Swede will turn 30 years old on September 1st. So let's look at some of his numbers here. Last season in 60, 70, 80, and 82, and 81 games, he had 22 goals and 59, and 60 points. In the playoffs, in 20 games, he had only 1 goal, but did have 10 assists for 11 points in 20 playoff games. I guess this makes up a little bit for Panarin. I don't know where else really the Columbus Blue Jackets go from here. Now, they still have a lot of cap space, though, so they can go out and still make a splash at just over $17 million. Yeah, there's no one on LTIR. Do they have some RFA signings that they have to take care of? Not really anyone of big. Well, on defense, they've got Zach Werenski. He's a big one, and Scott Harrington, who are both RFAs. And in the forward group, it's just Lucas Sedlak. So there you go. So look out for Columbus to be making some more moves as well. Now, the Rangers made some noise very early this morning. They traded Jimmy Vesey to the Buffalo Sabres for a third-round draft pick in 2021. Not even next year, in 2021. Now, Vesey, who's 26 years old, had 1 year remaining on his contract, has a $2.275 million cap hit. Of course, the Sabres originally acquired his rights in 2016 from the Nashville Predators, but he ultimately chose to sign with the Rangers of New York. He registered last season 17 goals and 18 assists, while just averaging over 16 minutes a game. In 81 games played. So this definitely adds some depth to the Buffalo lineup. That 16 minutes sounds like around third, second line role. We'll see where that goes there. That was my phone just buzzing. So Buffalo is, like their owner says, it's time to start winning. We'll see what they do. Now, they still have some RFAs they have to sign on defense, most notably left defenseman 25-year-old Jake McCabe is an RFA with arbitration rights. On forward, they have Gergensons, Larsons, Rodriguez that they have to sign. All of them have arbitration rights as well, as does goaltender Linus Ullmark, who's 25 years old. Whew. All right, so there you have it. We got through all of that, and I'm sure I'll look at my phone now, and there'll be a bunch more trades, and I'll just start this camera over again. Thank you so much for watching. Please, I would love to hear your opinions and comments down in the box below. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.